The laughter hit before the wine dried. Red streaked down my cheek, warm and sticky, dripping onto my collar as my wife's father lowered his glass like a judge setting down a gavel. The table froze for half a second. Then it broke. My wife's sister laughed too loudly. "Thanks, Dad," she said. "Maybe that'll teach him some respect." Someone else added something about me being dramatic. Someone always does. I didn't wipe my face. I stared at the reflection of myself in the black screen of my phone lying on the table. Wine, jaw clenched, eyes calm, too calm. The kind of calm that only shows up when something inside you finally snaps into place. Across from me, my brother-in-law's new girlfriend leaned back in her chair, smiling like she'd just won something. She tilted her head. "God," she said, amused, "do you always sit there like that? You look unemployed." More laughter. My wife didn't look at me. Her father did. "Stop making my family look bad," he said quietly. I nodded and decided to let them finish. I'd been invisible at that table long before the wine. Years of it, paying the bills, fixing what broke, smiling when I was corrected, apologizing when I wasn't wrong. They'd learned something important about me. I didn't react, so they pushed. The girlfriend, new, loud, drunk on approval, kept going. She mocked the way I spoke, the way I dressed, the way I sat too straight, like I was waiting for permission to exist. My wife finally glanced at me just once. Not concern, calculation. That's when it landed. The quiet realization that this wasn't random, that this wasn't a bad night or a bad joke. This was rehearsed indifference, a family ritual. I was the offering, and my wife had been letting it happen for a long time. I felt the denial rise, automatic, desperate. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. Maybe I deserve it. Then the girlfriend smiled again and said casually, proudly, "Well, at least my job pays well enough that I don't have to marry into money." Something in her tone caught my attention. Confidence, carelessness. I leaned back in my chair and felt the anger settle into focus. I'd heard that voice before. I stayed silent while they talked over each other. Inside, I was already working. Her name, her company, the way she'd emphasized her title like armor, the way my wife stiffened when she said it. Patterns surfaced. Late nights, team dinners, the sudden change in my wife's passwords months ago, the way she'd started defending her brother's girlfriend before I even met her. I didn't accuse, I observed. I remembered the email I'd accidentally seen once, my wife's screen glowing in the dark, a message thread she'd slammed shut too fast. I remembered how familiar this woman seemed to her. I unlocked my phone under the table, no rush. Public records, corporate directories, a private compliance database I still had access to for my old consulting work, something I'd never bothered to revoke. There it was, her name, her position, and the internal investigation already attached to it. My pulse stayed steady. This wasn't about embarrassment anymore. This was about leverage. I stood. The chair scraped loudly against the floor. Everyone went quiet, expecting an apology. I smiled instead. "Congratulations on the job," I said, looking only at her. She smirked. I tapped my phone once and turned the screen toward her. The color drained from her face so fast it was almost impressive. Compliance report, conflict of interest violations, an undeclared relationship. With my wife. Not alleged, documented. My wife inhaled sharply. My brother-in-law looked between us, confused, then angry. The girlfriend opened her mouth. Nothing came out. I kept my voice level. "You might want to check your email," I said. "HR doesn't like surprises." My wife finally spoke my name. I didn't look at her. Her father stood up, furious, demanding explanations. I wiped the wine from my face at last, slowly. "This," I said, gesturing to the table, "was the last time you get to speak to me like that." To my wife, finally, "You didn't think I knew," I said. "That was your mistake." She started crying, loud, apologetic. Too late. The girlfriend was already texting, hands shaking. I leaned down close enough for only my wife to hear. "I let you laugh," I said softly, "so they would too." Then I picked up my coat and walked out. No shouting, no chase. The night air was cold, clean. I stood outside for a moment, breathing, feeling something unfamiliar settle in my chest. Relief. I didn't lose a family that night. I shed an illusion. By morning, the investigation would be public. By afternoon, the apologies would come. By evening, I'd be gone. I blocked her number before the first message arrived. Some people mistake silence for weakness. They never see the planning happening underneath. I walked to my car, untouched by their voices behind me, and realized the truth I'd been avoiding for years. I wasn't discarded. I was released.